We are starting at 27:13. Take the garment of one who puts up security for a stranger. Hold it in pledge if he does it for a wayward woman. I remember the last time I looked through Proverbs, for some reason this one stuck with me. But what it's saying is, if a person whom you love, who might be a trustworthy person, then gives security or says, I will pay for someone I don't know, then the person who you would trust normally is not really trustworthy anymore. Because he doesn't know this other person who could be a deceiver, who could be all sorts of bad things. And he's given security, meaning he's put his own honor and his own money, his own resources, into the hands of someone he doesn't know. Well, that's foolishness. And so you, who have looked upon this person and thought, oh, they're trustworthy, now you have to say, you have to reevaluate and say they're no longer trustworthy. If they are foolish enough to put their honor and their money in the hands of someone who there's no reason they should trust, then I can't be foolish with them. It says here that I will take from them assurances, physical assurances beyond their word, that they will fulfill their obligations. Okay, so the writer of Proverbs here is saying that we look to the person and to his actions with others to decide on how trustworthy they are. So if they were very wise in all their dealings, then and they came to you and they said, oh, can I borrow this? I'll give it back to you. You can say, sure. But if they're not very wise and they say, can I borrow this? You say, well, give me, you can borrow my shovel if I can hold on to your rake. Right? Because then you have some recompense if it proves that the person is not trustworthy. So if they gave to a stranger, or a wayward woman would be like a prostitute, right? Yeah, not trustworthy. So the guy who borrows your shovel and he's been giving security to a stranger, well, maybe all his stuff's going to be taken and your shovel will go with it. So you at least would have the rake if you followed the advice of this proverb. 14. If a man loudly blesses his neighbor early in the morning, it will be taken as a curse. All right, good one. If you wake someone up, even if you wake them up with good news, they're not going to look at it as good news. So if you have good news for your wife, let her get her coffee before you tell it to her. A way to look at this on a broader scale is realize that when someone is miserable, you're not going to get a good reaction no matter what you say. So let them work through their misery a little bit before you bring them the good news, and then you can both enjoy it together. And maybe if we want to look at this from a biblical perspective, there are times to share the good news of Christ's grace, and there are times when you leave people alone because they're grouchy. It is better to come. Now, there are situations where they're being grouchy. They need to hear the law, or they need to hear of Christ's forgiveness. But it is better probably to come to them when they're in a good mood and then share with them the reality that Jesus loves them, that he has salvation. Those are better times to bring that good news. 15. Continuing a theme we've heard many times before. A quarrelsome wife is like a constant dripping on a rainy day. Restraining her is like restraining the wind or grasping oil with the hand. There you go. Be wise in your marriages. Solomon says it again and again and again, and he would know since he was not at all wise in his marriages. And it led him into great sin. It led God to be very angry at him because he built temples to foreign gods in Israel. It would lead to his house being torn in half, the country being torn in half, and his son Rehoboam only having the southern kingdom. So, quarrelsome wives, it's a big deal. And notice, not only is it annoying, but she's going to do what she wants to do. And you're going to have no say in it. Same, of course, goes with husbands for women. Not only is a husband who complains and he's annoying, but you're not going to be able to stop him when he wants to spoil everything, take your money and run. Okay? So, wives in your marriages. There was a reason that often parents would help choose out the groom and the bride because they wanted them to have a successful, loving, wonderful relationship blessed by God that was beautiful, where the two became one. Okay? 17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. We need other people in order to achieve higher levels of success. I grew up in the era of the 1980s of basketball being at its best, when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson kept meeting in the finals, and both teams reached heights that I had never seen. And eventually Michael Jordan would come, and he would grow because of running into particularly Larry Bird's Celtics. You get stronger and better by going against other people who are strong and good. It's no fun to play a game against an adult against a little kid, or a transgender man against a real woman. You don't sharpen each other that way. You do need testing, and you do need someone of a fairly equal stature in order to become as good as you can possibly become. And God knows that. He sends trials and temptations, and he sharpens our faith and our ability to have relationships with others. So don't look at competition as bad. Look at it as an opportunity to grow. Moving on. 18. He who tends a fig tree will eat its fruit, and he who looks after his master will be honored. So you do something now, and in the future you receive the rewards. We're not supposed to worry about tomorrow, and we can't brag about what will happen tomorrow, but we do know in this principle that we are to care for today, knowing that God gives rewards in the future. In this case, the fig tree, he gives a reward of fruit. It's a good reward. So when you plant a crop, eventually you get to eat it. And in the case of a servant serving his master, whether that be the Lord, who will give us the reward of heaven and the honor of being his children, or it be your local Walmart, where you get the reward of a paycheck, and maybe eventually you'll get a thing saying 30 years of service. In some cases, they used to give watches, right? I doubt Walmart does that, but but you may get your 401k. And you'll receive the honor of having given good labor for many years and being respected as a person who did work hard, who did do things which improve society and community. We're going to close at this point, and we'll move on in chapter 27 next time.